So this is drill set 3 with the squaring multiple streets and positive products program. So if we start with squaring, as with all my programs, it does not allow negative or inputs of 0 because that would produce some weird outputs for the user, which is likely not what they wanted. So if we do something like 19, it produces all the numbers from 1 to 19 and their squares from 1 to 3 and 361. So now we move on to multiples, which is the next program and the one that I'm going to highlight the invalid input check for. So first it clears this. This is to clear the menu. Then it declares variables. And then it enters this for loop, which it starts because this integer is equal to 0. And I can skip declaring it in the first step here. So it clears. This clear is to prevent any junk from cluttering up the user's experience. For example, if we were to run something like this instead, and I were to enter something negative, it would not delete this part, so then or clear it. So that'd be bad. So if we remove that, then it moves on to the prompting the user. So enter an integer, and then it gets that value. So if the integer were less than 0, or a negative input, then it would display this error message and tell them why. And then it would loop back to here. There is no change being made to the variable, and it would go back into this loop. And once the user enters a positive number, such as 9, as we can see here, it would not print this error message, and because there's no change being made, and it only runs as long as the integer is less than 0, it would get out of that loop. It then sets the multiple to the integer. It then prints multiples of the integer r, and then it gets into this for loop, where it continually adds 1 to the integer, 1 to I until it is greater than the integer. And here is the processing and the output, which and this part is the input up here. So for the processing, it simply adds the multiple, the old multiple and the integer to produce a new multiple. So 18, 27 until 90. And then it prints that multiple. So this runs until it is greater than the integer, and that produces however many an integer number of the multiples of that integer, which is what the program was supposed to do. So now we move on to the streets program. Again, does not allow negative or inputs of 0. That's too big. Oh, that's even bigger. I'm edit this. So if we were to do something like this, it also does not allow negative or inputs of 0 here. Also, if you were to go over for any reason, it will tell you that you've gone past your street, and that's an invalid input. This would be for letting the user enter the distance back from their current position to their destination, because this is not right. So then it returns you back to this part. So let's just do 5 or something, 4, and then 10, and then we can run this with 2, 3, 1. Like, let's just do like 3.5 something, and then this prints how much more the user has to go. And now for the positive products program. How many numbers to process? Again, no inputs of negatives or 0. Let's do 5. There's also one here in which it counts how many zeros or negative numbers the user has input, and if there aren't enough factors, which of these are, it will tell you that the product cannot be produced from a single or 0 factors, and that's an invalid input, and then it sends you back up to here. So if I were to do something like this, it also tells you that the zeros and the negatives are not counted. Oh 1, and it will produce the product right here with this, and then and then it returns you back to the menu, and here's the menu, and that's it. That's drill set 3.